Many different paths lead to a software engineering career. The great thing about our field is that you can practice it with nothing but a personal computer, which means you can become a software engineer without necessarily sleeping through 5 years of lectures at some university. People with different learning paths end up on the same team, which creates a very diverse and creative problem-solving environment. With that in mind, software engineering has evolved quite a lot. Generally, nowadays, most people work in a very specialized field, whether that would be React web development, doing some development on a specific game engine, or a very high-level framework. You can actually become a software engineer in a very specific niche without knowing some very important basics about hardware-software interaction and how actually computers work with your software. The point of this series is to give you a breadth-first overview. We'll start with very basics, like computer architecture, how hardware works, how it executes actual instructions. Then we'll go to some more practical notions, like how source code actually generates executables. We'll talk a lot about memory and memory management, and end up with some GPU programming. Throughout that journey, we'll also talk very briefly about some history of the most important landmarks that have shaped our fields, things like Unix and C. With that, let's jump right into it. This is my bare metal series. A modern computer of any kind is a programmable stored program computer. This means that we write instructions for it in the form of programs, and these instructions are stored in the computer memory itself. Before stored program computers, there were computers that were not programmable at all, but could compute only for specific purposes. One such example is the Atanasov Berry computer from 1942, which could only solve systems of linear equations. Later, computers like the ENIAC from 1945 were programmable, but only through rewiring a board, which could take days or even weeks to just change the algorithm. A stored program computer needs to solve a couple of challenges. To identify them, let's look at its operation. Through an input device, we can input data, and that data can be both instructions and the actual data these instructions will operate on. The computer needs to fetch these instructions from memory and understand them. After that, it needs to also fetch the data from memory, and finally, execute the actual arithmetic and logical operations on this data. After that, it saves the results back, usually in the same memory. And finally, it might display this data on some form of output device. These are quite a few processes, and they do need orchestration. And when you have multiple processes and need to orchestrate them, you need to figure out some kind of architecture. And this is what we're going to talk about: the predominant architecture of contemporary and modern computers. In 1945, John von Neumann published first draft of a report on the EDVAC, which describes computer designs discussed between von Neumann, J. Eckert, and John Mauchly in the University of Pennsylvania. The first draft describes a computer with a single processing unit and a single memory unit. The memory unit stores both instructions and data. The processing unit has a control unit which orchestrates the execution and fetching of instructions and data. They are connected with a single memory bus. Because of this, instruction fetch and data operations cannot occur at the same time. This is known as the von Neumann bottleneck. During the 1940s and 50s, researchers at the Harvard Computational Laboratory built multiple computers. These computers were called Harvard Mark I, II Mark IV, and they were built under the leadership of Howard Aiken. Harvard Architecture describes a machine that uses separate memory and buses for instructions and data. Harvard Mark I is not a stored program computer. It read instructions from a tape medium sequentially, so it cannot be classified as a Harvard architecture computer. Harvard Mark II to Mark IV, however, were stored program computers and had separate memory and buses for instructions and data, which technically means they were Harvard architecture computers. The Harvard architecture term was actually coined in the 1970s in the context of microcontrollers, but was later retrospectively applied to the Harvard machines built by the HCL team, even though that team never formalized an architecture. Modern general-purpose computers appear to follow the von Neumann architecture at a high level. After all, they have a single main memory from which they read instructions and data. Internally, however, they have separate caches in the processor for instructions and data. We have a term for this, and we call it modified Harvard architecture, on which most modern general-purpose computers are built.